Good evening, everyone. For those of you who are at your computer screen, you are looking at me in Washington, D.C. You have probably heard from the news that we're being held hostage here. Not to make light of the situation at all, but we are facing a very serious crisis in our country where, unfortunately, the people that are in charge, our colleagues from the other side of the aisle, are making certain demands that Congress members pass bills that actually, unfortunately, have nothing to do with our budget. We are in danger in the next 30 hours of the government shutting down, and I wanted to talk directly to the constituents in the 33rd District so that we could have a conversation tonight about what would happen if the government shut down. Rest assured that we will not stop working in the 33rd District. You can continue to call us. We will, throughout this call, give you our information by telephone, by email, and keep you up to date. If the government does, in fact, shut down, we will have another town hall just like this to take any questions and hear any concerns that you might have. Let me just go over a few things. At this point in time, approximately 15 minutes ago, President Obama had a press conference in which he said that he will hear tomorrow morning from the Speaker of the House, John Boehner, and from the head of the President of the Senate, Harry Reid, that he will hear whether or not the Congress, both houses of Congress, have come to an agreement about how to continue funding the government between now and the end of the fiscal year, which is September 30th. If everything works out well, and especially Speaker Boehner says tomorrow morning that he has reached an agreement, you can be assured that the government will not shut down. If Speaker Boehner comes on the news tomorrow morning and says we have not reached agreement, he will have until midnight Friday night, essentially, but come to his senses and not shut down our government. There is no legitimate reason for closing the government down except for the fact that, and I hate to say it, but I'm going to call it as it is, except for the fact that there are some people who are rather extreme and radical in my viewpoint who are making certain demands on Congress members that have absolutely nothing to do with the budget. In fact, the President of the Senate has said that the main issue that is holding up negotiations at this point in time is whether or not funding should continue for family planning services, if you can believe that. That is an issue that has absolutely nothing to do with the fiscal crisis that we are in. It has absolutely nothing to do with the budget. So let me just briefly go over what would happen and what would not happen if the government shuts down. If the government shuts down tomorrow night at midnight, feel secure that air travel will continue. Air traffic controllers are federal employees. They are considered essential. They will continue to work, so flights should not be affected. Postal service, the mail will continue to be delivered. If you are on Social Security or Medicare, your checks will be mailed out. However, if you have a new claim for Social Security or Medicare, it will have to wait. But any check that is outstanding that normally would come to you every month, and the same with Medicare, this will still happen. The IRS would shut down in the middle of tax season. Tax refund checks would not be issued. Visas and passports, the normal processing of visas and passports would close, but emergency passports services would still be open. If you receive WIC or other child nutrition benefits and also health care for children, those services would continue. If you are a student on federal student aid, that would continue. If you are a veteran and need medical services, that would continue. So even if the government shuts down, vital services will still continue. You will find out, though, that customer service in federal offices will be greatly reduced. Few federal offices will be open. I think that we should probably go to questions in a few minutes, but let me just reiterate for people that I know are joining the call at different points in time. Number one, if you have a question, press 0 to ask the question. Let me just reiterate that the President was on at a press conference a few minutes ago, and he said that he is waiting for the leadership of Congress to come back with an answer tomorrow as to whether or not we can reach agreement. If we reach agreement tomorrow, then the government will not shut down. If we hear that they have reached agreement in the morning, that means that all the members of Congress will go back into session. We will vote on a measure that is called a continuing resolution, which will allow the government to function until the end of the fiscal year, which is September 30th. If we do not come to agreement by midnight Friday night, then the government will shut down, but vital services that I just reviewed will continue. Air travel, postal service, Social Security and Medicare checks, emergency visas. If you are a student with student aid, food in the WIC program, and veterans health care will continue. For those of you that have just joined, this is Congressmember Karen Bass. Perhaps we can go to a question now.
We will take a question. I just wanted to also remind people, if they could, Paul, you've got a couple of ways for people to connect with Congressmember Bass, but I want to remind people, if they want to provide us their email address, we can then send you electronic updates of what's going on. And you do that by pressing 7 on your keypad now to provide us your email address. We would really appreciate it. Paul, you have a couple more things you want to say, and then we're going to take a question. Go ahead, please.
That's right, Kurt. We also have a Facebook and a Twitter account that you can follow the Congressmember on. You can go to facebook.com/RepKarenBass. That's RepKarenBass. Also, on Twitter, you can go to twitter.com/RepKarenBass. You can follow her for updates on what's going on here in Congress.
And if you do follow me on Twitter, I will tell you almost moment by moment what we are voting on the floor. I do have to say, and I think it's so unfortunate, that my Republican colleagues are demanding extreme cuts, and cuts that really, here we are coming out of a recession and just beginning to hire, and the economy is getting ready to come back. And if we were to have the cuts that the Republicans are demanding, it could actually throw our fragile economy backwards into a recession, just as it is getting ready to recover. If you have food stamps will continue. Food stamps, WIC, Women and Infants and Children, federal student aid, any other child nutrition, those benefits would continue. The Postal Service, air travel, Social Security and Medicare, visas and passports, if they are an emergency, will continue. First question.
We're going to take Denise if we can. Denise, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting we're having with Congressmember Bass tonight. Denise, what's your question, please?
My question, good evening, Congress Lady Bass. My question is this. Why is it that just a certain portion of the United States is trying to take over everything? Don't give them no more. Good Lord, we done gave up enough. And we can't give up any more.
I agree with you completely, and that is why every bill that they have put forward, we have voted against until they decide to be reasonable. It is ridiculous. They want to cut funding for just about everything under the sun. Can you imagine cutting funding for food inspectors, cutting funding so that our air and our water are not clean and safe? What they are asking us to cut, and we all understand, Democrats understand, that we have to be reasonable. And so we are in a crisis and we do need to cut, but we don't want to cut vital services. I want to continue on with questions. Thank you so much. Know that we will stand strong.
We're going to take Joanne next. Joanne, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting we're having tonight. Joanne, what's your question, please?
Good evening, Congresswoman Bass. My name is Joanne. My question concerns Medi-Cal. I am a disabled elderly widow, and I want to know if my Medi-Cal benefit, which I'm only allowed 6 prescriptions per month as it is, will remain the same.
Your Medi-Cal should continue. There shouldn't be a problem with Medicare or Medi-Cal checks.
All right, thank you.
All right, well, thank you. We're going to take a quick polling question if we can tonight because we really haven't had a chance to go there. Would you like to attend a town hall event on April 30th with Illinois Representative Danny Davis about the Second Chance Act? And if the answer is yes and you would, press 1. If the answer is no, I need more information, press 2. And if the answer is no altogether, press 3. Karen, would you like to tell us a little bit more about that, please?
Sure. Congressman Danny Davis is the author of landmark legislation that will help us deal with an issue that's very important in our community, and that is the tens of thousands of people who are cycling out of our prisons. We want to make sure that they are reintegrated into our community in a productive way, that they have work, that they have driver's licenses, that they're able to get housing. He authored the Second Chance Act and has been working on this issue for years. And so I've invited him to come to Los Angeles. He'll be there April 30th. You know, one of the things I want to do while I'm your representative is make sure that I can bring key decision makers from Washington, D.C. to Los Angeles so that you can talk to them directly.
Thank you. Thank you, Congressmember Bass. We're going to take another question if we can. It's going to be from Marvin. Marvin, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting we're having tonight. Marvin, what's your question, please?
Hi, good evening. I just want to know, I currently receive veteran disability checks. If the government shuts down, will that be delayed?
Your veteran check should not be delayed. And I will tell you that if, in fact, the government does shut down, it is certainly my hope that it would only be for a couple of days and that these folks would come to their senses. And assuming that it does shut down for a couple of days, there should be no delay in your check. Veterans checks will be delivered.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we're going to take another question if we can. I think it's going to be from Cynthia. Cynthia, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting we're having tonight. Cynthia, what's your question, please?
My question for Senator Bass is, what is the biggest, deadlock points that they can reach agreement on?
Well, the biggest deadlock points, I have to tell you, we'll have to call up the Tea Party and ask them because they are the ones that have made the demand and are essentially pressuring the Republicans to hold strong and to demand for cuts that are so severe that even members of the Tea Party would be hurt if we actually approve the cuts that they are requiring. They want to cut education. They want to cut health care. They actually are trying to do away with Medicare, but we're going to go into that on another call because that's something they're trying to do next after this continuing resolution that will keep the government operating for the next few months. So the biggest thing apparently that is holding back everything now are two things. Number one, the amount of cuts. The president has agreed to $31 billion in cuts, and let me tell you, that is going to hurt. These folks want double that, okay? The other thing that's holding them up, and this is what's even harder to believe, they want to ban family planning services in the city of Washington, D.C., and throughout the country, actually, but there's one specific thing they're trying to do to Washington, D.C. What those of you in Los Angeles might not realize is that because Washington, D.C. is not a state, Congress governs Washington, D.C. Every penny they spend in this city is decided, is given, or taken away by Congress. And so the Tea Party folks want to block family planning money. Now, you tell me what that has to do with an economic crisis. You tell me what that has to do with the deficit. Let's go to another question.
We're going to take Juanita next, but before we talk to Juanita, I wanted to mention that if they wanted the electronic newsletter, anybody listening tonight, we need your email address. And in order to get your email address, all you have to do is press 7 on the keypad on your phone, and we have one of our staff standing by to take down your email address. We really appreciate your participation. We're going to take Juanita next, as promised. Welcome to our telephone town hall meeting we're having tonight. Juanita, what's your question, please?
What I wanted to say was, you said we having a bad deficit. Well, we can help everybody, Japan, India, everybody, but yet and still the United States. So is myself as a senior citizen. You help everybody, but you say we are going short of money. Then where are we getting the money to help them? And we can't help ourselves.
Well, you know what? One of the things that worries me a lot is the money that we have to spend on the two wars that, unfortunately, President Obama inherited on his first day of office. If we could take that money for 1 week, it would certainly be able to help a lot. But, you know, a lot of times we think we give a lot of money away to other countries, but we really only give 1% of our budget in foreign aid. And I'm with you, though. We have a crisis here. We need to keep every dollar we can here, but, you know, we also have to make sure that we keep the world safe, because with some of the people that are out there, we have to make sure that we don't have problems in our country as well. And so one thing that helps keep our country safe is us having good relations with people around the world.
Thank you, Congressmember, and thank you, Juanita. Next, we're going to go to a web question that we've gotten online. They ask, what can average people do to help fight these cuts?
Well, let me tell you what you can do to help fight the cuts. You can call Speaker Boehner and tell him to come to his senses. Get his caucus, get the Tea Party folks to realize that they should not shut the government down. They're trying to make a point. They should not hurt people in the United States making their point. And while we're on this call, I'm going to ask a member of my staff who's here, get me Speaker Boehner's phone number.
We're going to take another question in just a second. We have another polling question, though. Would you like to attend a local event to learn more about the district in Congress and how you can be involved? If you would, press 1. Press 1 on your keypad on your phone. If the answer is you need more information, press 2. If the answer is no, press 3.
Let's just say that one of the reasons why we've asked for your emails is because of rules here. You have to ask for our newsletter in order for us to send it to you. So if you would hit that, what number is it, Paul?
7.
If you would hit 7 and give us your email, we will stay in touch with you. We'll make sure you always know about these town halls that we do on phone and online, and also events that we have in the community.
We're gonna take Zilva next. Welcome to our. I said that wrong. I apologize. Enunciate your name correctly. I dearly apologize. And go ahead, please.
Yes, my name is Zivia, and I have a twofold question. Number one, will our military and Border Patrol people continue to be paid if the federal government is shut down? And number two, are there any other kind of special riders that people are trying to attach to the budget bill that are causing the hiccups with getting something resolved?
Well, let me answer that second question first. Yes, the rider that you're referring to is what I made mention of a minute ago, that what the Republicans are trying to cancel are family planning services that have nothing to do with the budget. That apparently is the latest hiccup. What has happened here, and you know, the years I spent in Sacramento, I have to tell you, it was exactly the same. What the Republicans would do in Sacramento, and it's the same thing they're doing in Washington, D.C., is that every time it came to a crucial vote, they would try to force issues, policy issues that have nothing to do with the budget, they would try to force them into the negotiations, and that's exactly what they're doing. And so in terms of your questions about the military, will the military be paid? And also our troops overseas. Our troops overseas will continue to be taken care of in every way, so they will still continue to receive their pay. Now, those of you that would like to call the speaker, you can call him at area code 202-225-0600. Tell Speaker Boehner to be the speaker and to be responsible and to not shut the government down.
That's only fair. That's only fair, and we appreciate everybody participating tonight. For those people that are wanting to provide us with your email address, please be patient. We have a lot of people responding tonight to that. We really appreciate the participation. But just hold on. We're getting everybody's email as fast as we possibly can. Thank you again. Pamela, you're next. Welcome to our telephone town hall meeting we're having tonight, Pamela. Pamela, what's your question, please?
Well, I just wanted to make sure that I can count on my party and my president not to cave in on Medi-Cal, Medicaid type issues and family planning, these social issues that they're trying to gut. I hope that is not on the table.
Well, let me just tell you that Speaker Boehner continues to try to put it on the table, and let me tell you that the president has said he will veto it. But I will tell you that it won't even get to the president's desk, because although the Republicans control the House I'm in, the House of Representatives, they do not control the Senate. And at the end of the day, the bill has to be passed by both houses, the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate, in order for it to make it to the president's desk. The president, in trying to stop this process, told them not to even bother to try to send the bill to his desk because he would veto it.
We had one of our web questioners, I believe it's Rebecca, asked you to repeat that number for Speaker Boehner's office. What's that number again? Speaker
Boehner is area code 202-225-0600. I'm sorry, 202-225-0600.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're on with Congressmember Karen Bass tonight, and Isaiah is going to be our next questioner. Welcome to our telephone town hall meeting we're having tonight. What's your question, please? Oh, didn't do that right yet. Hold on one second. Let me cue this up.
If you'd like to send Speaker Boehner an email, you can do it on his website at speaker.gov.
Now we got Isaiah. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Speaker, I won't say Speaker Bass, but I mean Assemblyman.
Eventually.
Bass. My question is, I don't understand what the Speaker of the House and the Tea Party plans are. I mean, it seems like they want to wreck the country for all the cuts that they're requesting. You know, there's a lot of people that need assistance. I mean, it seems like they want to take it back to the pioneer days or whatever.
That's why they wear those colonial clothes.
Right. You know, and if they shut the government down, you say it won't be about 2 or 3 days. But once it's shut down, what would be accomplished? I mean, are they going to still be at a stalemate on what they agree to, what the presidents want?
Well, let me just say that in terms of what is it that the Tea Party wants. The Tea Party believes that the government should shrink in size. But let me just tell you that they say that on the one hand, but they actually are trying to fundamentally change our country. So, for example, it's not that they believe that the government shouldn't spend money. They just believe that the government should spend money on different things. So, for example, they have no problem allowing millionaires to have tax cuts that allows them to continue to get richer and richer. They believe in the trickle-down theory. The richer people are, the more jobs that's going to create for us. Well, we've been waiting for that trickle-down now for about 30 years that I can remember, because I think Reagan was the one that started with the trickle-down, and it never seemed to trickle down to our community. The cuts that they were demanding would cost 700,000 jobs. That means 700,000 people would lose their jobs if we were to approve the budget that the Republicans are asking for. And I will tell you, it wasn't a Democrat that came up with that analysis. It was a Republican. Actually, I shouldn't say he was a Republican. I don't know that. He's an economist who was an advisor for a Republican, and Republican John McCain when he was running for president. The economist that advised him said If we were to move forward with the Republican plan for the economy, it would cost us 700,000 jobs, and the fragile economy that is just now recovering could fall back into a recession.
Thank you, Congressmember. We also have a question from our website. If you go to karenbass.house.gov, you can watch this online at the same time. Brian from LA asks, how long will the shutdown last?
Well, first of all, let me say for callers who are joining us late, the government has not shut down. We won't know until midnight tomorrow whether or not the government will shut down. President Obama had a press conference about a half hour ago in which he gave the leadership of both houses until tomorrow morning to come to an agreement. They're very close. There's very little that is keeping them apart right now. And so he told the leadership in both houses, essentially, go home, get it together, come back, and be reasonable. So the government has not shut down. At this point, I am holding out hope that we will not shut down. I predict it, but it is merely a prediction, that if the government does shut down, that it would be for a short period of time. But just like the previous caller mentioned, even if the government does shut down for a short time, that short time is very devastating. The operation of the U.S. government is bigger than many countries combined. And so it takes an awful lot to shut the government down. Needless to say, it takes an awful lot to restart it again.
We're going to take a question from Christina in just a second. I wanted to, it looks like our people are catching up, so if you'd like to provide us with your email address so we can send you updates very quickly of what's going on, please hit 7. Hit 7 on the keypad on your phone, and we will get you to one of our staff so you can provide us your email address and get those updates, the newsletter, the whole shoot and caboodle.
And if if you join me on Twitter, then I will keep you up to date almost hour by hour to everything that is happening while we are in session in the Capitol.
Paul, what are those addresses, please, for Facebook and Twitter?
You can find her on Facebook at Karen Bass, Rep Karen Bass. That's facebook.com/REPKARENBASS. And on Twitter, it's twitter.com/Rep Karen Bass, just the same.
Christina's next. As I said before, Christina, welcome. Welcome to our telephone town hall meeting we're having tonight. Go ahead with your question, please.
Hello, Congresswoman Bass. Thank you for inviting me. This is very exciting. My question is, I've been watching the news all day, and the media is accusing both sides of playing hardball, and they are accusing the president of not showing enough leadership. Do you think the president is mediating the stalemate properly? Do you think he should be a little bit more forceful, or should he lay back a little bit? What is your opinion?
Well, let me just tell you, when I was in the legislature, I served as speaker, and I sat in those rooms with the governor and the other legislative leaders. It would just be 5 of us. We would sit in the room sometime all day negotiating the budget. I think that the president has played an excellent role. I think he's been very forceful. But one thing I know is that when he comes out of that room and gets in front of that camera, just like I used to do on a daily basis, he has to be diplomatic. I can only imagine the words that fly in that room. Because really the impact of our government shutting down has international implications. It really will impact the entire world if the government of the United States shuts down. And so some people are talking about, especially on some stations that I won't mention, are saying that he does not show enough leadership. I have no idea what they would expect from him. The person who I believe is not leading, and I think it's very unfortunate, is Speaker Boehner. Now, I have empathy for him, too, because I don't believe Speaker Boehner is a card-carrying member of the Tea Party. But one thing I do know is that Speaker Boehner has a whole lot of members of the Tea Party in his caucus, and he has to get them to vote for the budget. And so on the one hand, he might want to do one thing, but if he can't get the votes, he's not able to do it. Which is why I think our speaker, and we're going to do a little commercial here, call Speaker Boehner at area code 202-225-0600. He needs to hear from you tonight. Tell Mr. Speaker to please not shut the U.S. government down.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep it straight. Josie's next. Josie, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting we're having tonight with Congressmember Karen Bass. Josie, what's your question, please?
I'm calling to see, will Social Security benefits be affected in any way?
Social Security, Medicare the checks will be mailed out. The only impact on Social Security is if you have a new claim, that will not be processed right away. So let me just take a minute. Is that the end of your question?
Yes, it is.
Let me just take a minute because people are joining us at different times. If you are expecting a VA check, that will be delivered. Social Security, Medicare, food stamps, student loans, all of those checks will be mailed. Air travel will not be interrupted. Postal service will not be interrupted. The IRS would shut down in the middle of tax season, so there might be a delay in refund checks if there is a shutdown for a long period of time. If you need an emergency passport, it will be processed. Let me see what else. If you want to go into a federal office, you might find that the federal offices might be closed or service might be greatly interrupted. But let me also be clear, the government has not shut down right now. The reason I'm doing this call is because I know that so many people out there are concerned because of so many conflicting news reports. We won't know whether the government shuts down. We have until midnight tomorrow night. Now, I am hoping that when I wake up tomorrow morning, that Speaker Boehner has talked to members of his caucus, that he will have the votes, that everybody's come to their senses, and that he will put up a budget that all of us can vote for. You should know that in the House of Representatives, because the Democrats are the minority, a budget is passed with or without our votes. So it's really the Republicans that have to come to grips with this situation.
That dovetails into a question from Odell. Odell, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting we're having tonight. Odell, go ahead with your question, please.
Is
that in the background there?
Odell, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Odell, go ahead with your question, please.
Oh, okay. Oh, great.
You're on live.
You know, let me just say this. Do you think that the Republican Party and the Tea Party are just bent on crushing little people, helpless people, sick people, children, minorities especially? Do you think that's their goal? Because they seem to be only for the rich.
Well, you know, I think in knowing some of my Republican colleagues, I don't think that all of them really believe that. I think that they believe that you can cut the government and that people will still be okay. My concern is that I think part of it is a survival of the fittest mentality, meaning that those people, if they pull themselves up by their bootstraps and if they work really hard, there's a job for everyone. I think we live in different worlds. I really do. And so I do think, though, that there are some people that believe that the government resources should not be used to help people that are in need, with very few exceptions, which is why they don't have a problem ending Medicare as we know it. And I don't want to go into that so much. We're going to do another call in a few days. Once we get past this crisis, I want to do another town hall that will explain the Republicans' plan for the next budget. And that is a budget that would begin October 1st of this year and go into next year. Right now, I think we need to focus on the crisis at hand. And I want to have the benefit of the doubt, and I want to believe that my Republican colleagues are human beings and are misguided, and that they're not just that mean-spirited.
Thank you, Congressmember. We have people asking questions online, and you can watch a live stream of this online at karenbass.house.gov. That's www.karenbass.house.gov. Molly from LA asks, is it true that the Ryan budget is revenue neutral, so tax cuts for the wealthiest from 35 to 25% would result in tax increases for the middle class and working families?
Well, now again, this is not the budget that we're worried about right now. This is the budget that will begin October 1st. But I don't believe there's any way you could say his budget is revenue neutral, because the tax breaks that are in his budget would result in a huge increase in our deficit. And then ultimately, working people certainly have to pay for that in terms of the cutback in services. For example, what Ryan wants to do to Medicare would lead to seniors and the disabled having to pay more for their health care. I will go into that in detail with charts and everything in a week once we get past this crisis. If you want to read Congressman Ryan's budget, though, Google his name, get on the website, read it. It's a scary document.
Paul, go ahead, please. You have something you wanted to also add.
Yeah, you can press 7 on your keypad right now to sign up for our e-newsletter, where we send out updates frequently about what's happening here in Washington. You can also find the Congress member on Facebook by going to facebook.com/Rep Karen Bass. It's REPKARENBASS. And you can also follow her on Twitter by going to twitter.com/REPKERNBASS.
You know what? I'm not sure that works. We actually, we wanted to post up a commercial behind me. Why don't you just hand it to me, Kimmy? Okay. I think it's too far away. So we would like for you to call speakers. Oh, that doesn't, oh, there you go. There you go. Speaker John Boehner. There you go. Call the Speaker of the House, 202-225-0600. For those who are watching us online, I am in Washington, D.C., in my office. It's 10:40 at night, and I just held up a sign in front of the computer that gives you Speaker Boehner's, the spelling of his name, Boehner, and his phone number is 202-225-0600. Please call him and tell him how you feel about a government shutdown.
Thank you, Congressmember. We're going to take Chala next. Welcome to our telephone town hall meeting we're having tonight. Go ahead with your question, please.
Well, what a fantastic forum. Absolutely wonderful and timely.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask about the disagreement on the Environmental Protection Agency.
Thank you.
Apparently, what is it that the Republicans are proposing? They want government cutdowns. They want to do away with EPA, outsource it. What is it that they want? Probably at the request of the corporations. It's an environmental protection agency, and their job is to go and check to make sure that they abide by the clean air rules and all that. Am I correct?
Well, you absolutely are correct, and let me just be very specific. What the Republicans called for, and they voted and they passed out of our House, however, fortunately it will be stopped in the Senate, they want to roll back the laws that were put in place to keep our air clean and our water clean. Do you remember about 25 years ago or so in Los Angeles when every August your eyes would be killing you and we would have the alerts that, told kids not to exercise and all of that? Well, even though we still have a smog problem in L.A., we don't have those type of problems anymore, and that's because of the laws that were put into place. If you get a copy of the Watch Times, and you can get that online, I actually did an article detailing this issue about the Environmental Protection Agency. We had a bill today that I want you to know that I voted against that was essentially going to roll back the landmark legislation to deal with climate change. But let me just tell you why. Something else to Google? Google the Koch brothers. That's spelled K-O-C-H, Koch brothers. They're the ones that helped finance the election last year. And so if you if you find out about them, you will find out that these two brothers own one of the largest corporations in the United States, primarily dealing in oil and gas and other energy, and they are upset about the environmental laws. They financed a lot of the Tea Party candidates. So what did they do as soon as they were sworn into office? They wanted to pay those Koch brothers back. And so they introduced legislation to roll back the environmental laws. If you find out any information about the Koch brothers, you can see that they are one of the main reasons why the Republicans are going after the environmental protection laws. I fear that, especially the people in the Tea Party that like to run around in clothes from the 1700s, that some of these people want to see our country back in those days, and we all know what that means for some of us.
We have another question from coming right up. I wanted to do a polling question because a lot of the audience hadn't joined the call yet. The question is, would you like to attend a town hall event on April 30th with Illinois Representative Danny Davis about the Second Chance Act? Press 1 if it's yes, 2 if you need more information, and 3 if it's no. And if you could elaborate more on that, Congressmember, that would be fantastic.
I sure will. Right after I was elected, and we did a listening tour, and we went and we had community meetings all over the 33rd District, one of the issues that's very important, particularly in South LA, are the tens of thousands of predominantly men, but a lot of women too, who have been incarcerated. Well, one of the things that we know that happens once somebody is released from incarceration is they have a very difficult time integrating themselves into the community because they have so many barriers. And so Representative Danny Davis from Illinois has done landmark legislation called the Second Chance Act, which is to help ex-offenders get reintegrated back into society. One of the commitments I made when I took office was that I was going to bring representatives and other leaders from Washington, D.C. to our neighborhood to talk about the issues and to talk about the legislation that they have done. So I asked Mr. Davis if he would come to Los Angeles, and he will be here on April 30th. We would love for you to come. Please follow the poll and check yes, no, or that you need more information. And please give us your email so that we can stay in touch with you. The law requires that I ask you for your email and that you ask me to receive my newsletter.
And you do that by pressing 7 on the keypad on your phone. We have more staff on board right now to collect your email addresses. We've gotten some great response tonight, Congressmember, just some great response. We really appreciate it. We're going to take Emily next. Emily, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting we're having tonight. What's your question, please?
Hi, Representative Bass. I think this is a terrific town hall. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your staying up late up there. I'm a little concerned because, I feel like I've been reassured, the Tea Party are just sort of wingnuts. They don't represent the majority of the Republican Party. And then when it seems like Tea Party views can now threaten to actually shut down the government, makes me, I guess my question is, where are the moderate Republicans? Where are the sane Republicans?
Well, you know what happened? They lost their election. And that's the sad truth. I will tell you, I'm one of those that thought that the Tea Party, a lot of them were wingnuts, and some of them I do think they are. But what happened in the election last year, though, was that many of them got elected. And one of the reasons they got elected was because of the Supreme Court decision that allowed unlimited corporate money in, which essentially opened the door for the Koch brothers to finance the election. I will tell you that not every member of the Republicans in the House are members of the Tea Party, but all you need is a critical mass. If you have enough of them in your caucus, they can certainly hold a speaker hostage. And as somebody who was a speaker, I know what that means. If members of your caucus refuse to go along with what you want them to do, they can essentially throw a roadblock in. And I happen to believe that that's what's happened to Speaker Boehner. I don't know the man. I only met him once. I see him occasionally. But, I think that he is being pressured by the Tea Party members in his caucus.
Thank you, Congressmember Karen Bass. We're having a telephone town hall meeting tonight. We have a lot of people wanting to ask us questions, so please just be patient. You don't need to hit 0 anymore. We got plenty in the queue. We're going to go with Charles next. Charles, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting we're having tonight with Congressmember Karen Bass. Charles, what is your question, please?
My question is for the Congresswoman. I am a veteran, and I have 5 appointments coming up. Will they be open?
You have 5 appointments coming up?
Yes.
Are there medical appointments? Yes.
Medical appointments,
Yes, that will continue.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, wish you well.
We're going to take another question if we can. Paul, you're going to take one from the web, so go ahead if you would, please, Paul.
That's right. Right now we have over 300 people online watching this at karenbass.house.gov. And we have a question: why did the Democrats not take up this budget when they were in power?
Well, being here 3 months, I couldn't answer that specifically, but let me just say that I know that the Democrats in the 111th Congress absolutely tried everything they could to come to terms. And one of the things that happened, and a lot of the question about the moderate Republicans, what happened to them? Well, there were a lot of conservative Democrats too who were objected to a lot of the things that the Democratic caucus was putting forward. And interestingly, the conservative Democrats and modern Republicans lost their election.
We're going to take another question if we can. It's going to be from Oscar. Oscar, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting we're having tonight with Congressmember Karen Bass. Oscar, what's your question, please?
Hello, Congress Karen Bass. This is Oscar. Thank you for allowing me to ask this question. Question I have for you. We currently do not have health care coverage, and my wife's pregnant, so she is submitting a application for Medi-Cal. Will she be affected due to this shutdown?
Did you say she submitted it?
Yes, and she's pregnant. Obviously, we've been declined by health coverages that will not.
How long ago did you submit her application?
4 days ago, this Monday.
4 days ago? I will tell you that I am certainly hoping that the government doesn't shut down. If the government does shut down, it could result in a little bit of a delay. But if I were you, I would get on the phone first thing tomorrow and tell them that you need to have this expedited. Okay? Make sure you do that. Get on the phone first thing tomorrow. And for the people that joined us later, let me say that the government has not shut down at this point in time. The President had a press conference a little over an hour ago, and at his press conference he gave the Republican leadership until tomorrow morning to come back and essentially answer whether or not we could come to a deal. If they haven't come to a deal tomorrow morning, we still have until midnight tomorrow night to see whether or not the government is going to close.
Paul, go ahead. You've got some follow-up information on this, I believe.
That's right. If you wanted to sign up for our e-newsletter, you can press 7, and you'll be connected with an operator, which will take your email, and you'll be able to receive information from us as we send it out. Each week that we're in session here, we're going to be sending out e-newsletter, updating you on what's happened that week and how you can stay involved with Congressmember Karen Bass.
And also, you can join me on Twitter. If you join me on Twitter, I will keep you posted almost hourly as to what is happening in Congress. And my Twitter account, Paul?
That's Rep. Karen Bass. The @ symbol, Rep. Karen Bass.
R-E-P, Karen Bass. And by the way, please call Speaker John Boehner and tell him what you feel about the government shutdown. You can reach him at area code 202-225-0600.
You can also send him an email at speaker.gov. If you go to his website, he has a form there at speaker.gov.
I see some people on the web have already done that, and thank you for your participation on that. I saw a couple people say, yeah, they dialed into that and said, don't shut down the government. So I guess that's what the common theme has been as to what to say to them on email. George is next. George, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting we're having tonight. George, what's your question, please?
Yes, thank you. The question is, according to Health Act, the Tea Party wanted to back it that was enacted.
You know what? I'm sorry, George. I think you might be calling us from a cell, and we're only hearing every other word, so I can't hear your question.
Congressmember, his question is, how will the shutdown affect the new health care bill?
Well, it won't affect the new health care bill in the sense that, things are moving forward with that. And I will tell you that even though the Tea Party has tried to do everything possible to shut it down, to slow it down, we're lucky in California because we have Attorney General Kamala Harris, And we have Dave Jones for the insurance commissioner, and they are aggressively moving forward the state of California to implement the health care reform. And one of the first things they've had to do is hold the insurance companies' feet to the fire, because one of the things that the insurance companies did right away was they tried to spike the rates. And Insurance Commissioner Dave Jones had to have them back down and reduce those rates.
We're going to take another question in just a second. I wanted to one more time review the would you like to attend a local event to learn more about the district and Congress and how you can be involved. God, I said that poorly, and I apologize. The question again is, would you like to attend a local event to learn more about the district and Congress and how you can become involved? If you would, press 1 on the keypad on your phone. If you need more information, press 2. If the answer is no altogether, just press 3. We appreciate your participation. We're going to take another question. Let's see. We're going to take Jerry next. Jerry, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting we're having. Jerry, what's your question, please?
Good evening, Congresswoman Bass. Thank you. I have a couple of questions, or not a couple of questions, a two-part question. Both CNN and the NBC are reporting that the armed forces will, in fact, not be paid if the government shuts down. And since it's the Congress who has failed to act on this in a timely fashion, how can you people in all conscience accept your pay at the same time that the armed forces are not receiving theirs?
Go ahead, Congressmember.
Well, first of all, there is a bill introduced to ensure that the military will be paid, and we are hearing conflicting reports about that as to whether or not they are paid, and it's our understanding that they are paid, and so that's the information that I will move forward with right now. As to whether or not Congress continues to get paid, one thing, let me say, and I said this a little while ago, I am certainly hopeful that the government does not shut down. And if the government shuts down, I am almost certain that it will be a shutdown that is very short-lived, of just a couple of days. And so in terms of people being paid or not, I certainly hope that that's a moot question.
Our next question is going to be from Wayne. Wayne, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting we're having tonight. Wayne, what's your question, please?
Okay, my question is this. With the past national debts and whatever, I've noticed that we've always floated bonds and whatever to pay off those national debts. Why are we nowadays borrowing money from other countries which will put this country more or less in debt to other countries such as China? We've always...
Go ahead, Congressmember.
Well, we're really doing all of the above, so it's not as though that we are not doing that at all. And, you raise an interesting point, because there's really three things going on right now related to the budget. The subject at hand that we're concerned about is whether or not enough money is passed, or a bill is passed, to continue paying the government between now and September 30th, called the continuing resolution. That's what we're facing today and tomorrow. In addition, in a few weeks, we have to decide whether or not the debt is raised, the debt ceiling is raised, and that means whether or not the government can continue to borrow money. The third issue that we're dealing with is whether or not we will have a budget for the next fiscal year. So there's really three things going on simultaneous that makes it rather confusing. And if you watch the news, they can be talking about all three topics at the same time, and it leads to a lot of confusion.
Thank you, Congressmember. We had a question online from Eric Sims. He wanted to know how he can get involved in the event that's taking place on the 30th with Representative Danny Davis. And you want to talk about what that event is?
Sure. Congressmember Danny Davis is the author of landmark legislation that provides resources across the country to people who have been incarcerated, leaving incarceration, and to help them get reintegrated back into society. We will be having a town hall with him on April 30th at 10 o'clock, and it'll be at the same Renaissance Center, and I think everybody knows where that is, on Western and Adams. and that will be at 10 a.m. April 30th. That's a Saturday. So please hit 7 and give us your email address, and we will be happy to send you the information and help you get involved. You can join me on Facebook, you can join me on Twitter, and I do hope that when you hear about the events and activities that we're doing, that you will spread the word throughout all of your contacts. So thanks very much for the question.
One more time, Paul, tell people about the connections that Congressmember Bass just told us about concerning Twitter and Facebook, please.
You can find her on Facebook at facebook.com/rep, R-E-P, Karen Bass, REPKARENBASS. Also, you can follow her on Twitter at twitter.com/Rep Karen Bass, REPKARENBASS.
And we're going to take another question if we can. It's going to be from Cheryl. Welcome to our telephone town hall meeting we're having tonight. Cheryl, what's your question, please?
Yes, I have a family member that is in the hospital right now, and he's on Medicare. And I'm just concerned about whether this shutdown, whether it be a long delay or a short delay, will affect the outcome of the doctors being paid, the treatment that he will receive. And I'm just concerned about that, and I just need you to waylay the fears of me and probably a dozen other people who have this same concern.
And let me just tell, did you say that he was a veteran in the VA or no?
He is not, but he is currently in the hospital under Medicare. And
Right. Well, let me just tell you that I'm very concerned about it as well, and that's exactly why I wanted to have this call, because I was concerned that people in my district, while I'm being held hostage here in D.C. and I can't come home and see you directly, I wanted to communicate with people in the 33rd District, and I will continue that communication while we make it through this crisis. But it is my understanding that if he is on Medicare, that those payments will continue to be made, and that means they will continue to be made to the doctors as well. I am concerned that if we shut down, that a lot of confusion will ensue. And so that's the reason for this call. So as of right now, Medicare will be paid.
I just wanted to mention, I think we're just about at the top of the hour, Congressmember Bass. I think we kind of have to wrap it up, but I wanted to remind people, if we didn't get to your question, and we didn't get to a lot of questions, and there just wasn't enough of time, we really appreciate your participation tonight. All you have to do is leave a voicemail at the end of this call, which is in about 1 minute. So please stand by and leave us a voicemail with your question, one way or the other. If you have any question, no matter where you've gone in our system, please leave us a question. You need to leave us your name and your phone number and your email address if you want us to get back to you even quicker.
And let me just say that for those people that have questions that we didn't get to, we will answer your questions. We will put the answers to your questions online so that you can see exactly what the answers are. I want to thank you so much for joining me for this hour. Let me just reiterate, the federal government has not closed down. We should hear tomorrow morning whether or not the Republican leadership has come to their senses, and we will be able to continue to fund the government. If that has not happened tomorrow morning, we will still have until midnight tomorrow night. If the government does shut down, rest assured that I will do another town hall exactly like this the day of the shutdown so that you understand exactly what will happen. And for some of those questions that we were a little vague about, like the military and all of that, we will have solid answers to because there is a lot of confusion, and we want to make sure that the residents of the 33rd District have the best, most up-to-date information. And if you really want to be up-to-date, follow me on Twitter. And if you don't know how to follow me on Twitter, go to somebody that does tweet.
That would be Rep Karen Bass.
Rep Karen Bass. Thank you very much, and good evening.